Welcome to my channel where we question everything. Today's topic is why I disagree with Andrei Martyanov. And that's a video that is with the heading of John Bolton is confused. Now, unfortunately, I told you before, I am on the warpath. And this is 1 in 3 videos with a final culprit at the end. Now, I've been listening to Andrei for a long time. And, well, not that long. Because I'm getting sort of agitated when I hear him constantly bashing other people of being incompetent, etc., etc., etc. And in any case, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to discuss everything that he has says. But I've got some notes here which I would like to discuss. But in any case, so he bashes John Bolton again as being incompetent, doesn't know what he's doing, has no education, no experience, and nobody in the White House has any experience. And this is all about John Bolton's recent comment that the Americans are losing because of the prisoner exchange of, what's the guy's name? Oh, well, that basketball woman and the weapon smuggler. Can you believe I can't remember the name? I know the name, just forgot it now. In any case. And that this deal was a bad deal and John Bolton is now unhappy with that. And now John Bolton knows nothing. No. The problem is John Bolton is a war hawk. He wants war. He agrees in he believes in the supremacy of American military. He wants his will to be imposed on the rest of the world, and that is what he is. It doesn't mean he doesn't know anything. You can't achieve those positions if you don't know what you're talking about. And if you're not convinced your superiors about your knowledge, then they won't appoint you. But he was appointed and achieved whatever he had to achieve, contrary to what Andrei has achieved. So again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. In any case, so I decided, though, okay, since Andrei likes to call other people's credentials into questions and nobody knows anything. So what did I do? I Googled Andrei Martyanov. Well, he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. That does tell you already a lot, since he's a writer. And since he has published several books. Then maybe you should have had a Wikipedia page, but you don't. So I'll get onto Google Books, and here we'll give you sort of a small about the author type of one. It was made in 2021 on Google Books. In any case, Andrei Martyanov is an expert on Russian military and naval issues. He was born in Baku, USSR, graduated from a Kirov Naval Red Banner Academy, and served as an officer on the ships and staff position of the Soviet Coast Guard. Coast Guard. Through 1990, he took part in the events in the Caucasus, which led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. In mid-1990, I don't know what that means. In mid-1990, he moved to the United States, where he worked as laboratory director in a commercial aerospace group. He's a frequent blogger on the U.S. Naval Institute blog. He's the author of Losing Military Supremacy and the Real Revolution in Military Affairs. That's his credentials. Can't find anything else. So what makes him an expert about all these things? Claiming to be a political expert now because he can criticize John Bolton. In any case, so did he get a degree? No, at the Red Banner Academy in the Naval Institute. And then he worked on the Soviet Coast Guard. Yes, it's not the same as American, but at least he's not on some other warship and so on. And then in 1990, he fled to America, and that's it. And then he became a laboratory director. What the hell does that mean? A laboratory director. commercial aerospace group. Doesn't sound to me like any expert information. And then you can read some of the reviews, and the problem is I can't find it again. I read it myself and I didn't read it, and I can't fit it down there. But there were 3 introductions apparently to his book, and the one was from Pepe Escobar, the other one was from Seika, and the other one was also a known guy that we all know, but I can't remember now. It's his buddies writing inside his books, telling you to read his books and believe his books and keep credibility. So I'm sorry, Andrei. You are as unknowledgeable and incompetent as the rest you are criticizing. But since I don't have any problem with credentials, and I don't put a lot of faith in it, I'll excuse you on that basis. Okay? So I'll ignore your credentials and listen to what you have said. In any case, so he goes on, and now actually, let me see. Look over. Oh yeah. Then there was this missile attack on the 3 airports of airfields deep into Russia, and then he talks about this old Tu-141 missile that was used, and that it could have fired on it. Well, the first thing you have to ask yourself, what the hell? What the hell did the Russians do? This is a complete failure of the Russian military command. The Russians are in a conflict with Ukraine. They have an airfield with strategic bombers and nuclear weapons stored, and they have no air defenses protecting that airfield. No air defenses. What the hell are these guys doing? What the hell are they thinking? They think 600 kilometers too far? What about sabotage groups? What about flipping, getting into that field, sabotage group, launching some flipping quadcopter and putting in a weapon in there and flipping, destroying one of those big aircrafts? What is wrong with the Russian military? That's the question you should ask yourself. Not bashing this this old Tu-141 being used to cruise around. And then he talks about, oh yeah, basic engineering, and you can even have a hobby that can modify this thing. You change a little bit of electronics and so on. Martin, Andrei, you know, I'm an engineer. I worked on weapon systems. We designed it and we built it. I did that. And you don't change any like a little bit electronic here and electronic. What? You're going to replace a little bit of capacitor here or a resistor here, or what are you going to do? Is that your guidance system, resistors and transistors and whatever? No. You better not speak about these technical items. You're not qualified for that. You don't even have the knowledge for that. So please keep quiet about this, sorry. If you want to talk about your naval experience and your laboratory director experience. Any case, I can't find the article, but I will get it. I will get it somewhere. Maybe I'll listen to the demos. There's an article that was wrote that the Ukrainians, some other aerospace company, has developed long distance missiles. They didn't specify what the missiles it was, but then later on, then this thing happened, and then the article wrote, but that happened precisely the day that this company confirmed that they have succeeded in developing a long-distance missile. So I presume is that these guys actually now achieved to modify these old Tu-141s to go the distance. They are old, but they are a missile, and they have an explosive head, and that they can destroy things. That is the bottom line. You know, a tank is a tank. If it can kill you, it can kill you. That's the principles. Well, apparently the Ukrainians have now achieved that. But I will look for that article. I can't find it now. Any case, then, oh my God. Yeah. Merkel. Angela Merkel. She's a mediocre politician. She doesn't know what she's doing. She was weak. She has a grudge against the Russians because somebody stole a bicycle when she was a youth, a child. Now she hates the Russians. How ridiculous can this be? How can anybody listen to Andrei when he talks this nonsense? I mean, how many long was she the Chancellor of Germany? I think 16 years or so. So every German is just an idiot. And she's an idiot. But she's actually a physicist, trained as a physicist, by the way. Huh? But Andrei knows everything. Everything. A jack of all trades, know it all. Nobody else knows anything. You know what is called a person like that? That's called a narcissist. Any case. So she said the thing which I said, yeah, they didn't force Kiev because they wanted Ukraine to have time to build up its military. But I made a video about that, but I will put a link to it in any case. But she also said that Russia could have wiped off the Ukraine in that same instance if they haven't made an agreement, which is false. And Andrei should know it because he has talked about it for how long. But now, suddenly, no, he ignores that because that's inconvenient facts. Those are inconvenient words that were spoken. Selective. We're only going to concentrate on this. We're going to have saved time. No, it was all about giving Ukraine time to build up its military. No credibility. Sorry. Europe is nobody. We should talk to the Americans. Europe is just laptops. Yes, it looks like the Europeans are laptops. Yes, it looks like. But there's a lot of other contradicting information coming out, which you don't will normally read, but you have to listen to that, and you've got to read that and put it in context. Firstly, Scholz said he still talks to China, although the Americans don't like it. So does Macron and all the other guys. They want to still do China. So they are rebelling in certain sense and said, no, not this. No, no, no. Oh, Biden, Joey, not that one. No, no, no. We're not going to do it. Follow you here. We're not going to do that. Hey, Joey, you have an unfair with the recession document. You're subsidizing your green industry, and that is unfair. We're going to not be able to compete. Our cars can't compete. We're not going to accept it. Joey, hey, we've got to talk about that. That is what the Europeans are saying. And then there are other things. You're going to read all the other stuff as well. Small things. But at the end of the day, it shows you that they are not totally laptops. They have decided, or they've been convinced of a certain narrative that the US has presented them. And they are now committed to that narrative. But the narrative is now turning against them. So the question is, how long are they going to be paid to hold out? God, you know. Everybody is stupid, has a low IQ, except Andrei. Nobody can achieve anything. Nobody knows it. Nobody sees a bigger picture. Nobody has the insight that this man has. Really. So I could continue about this. Oh yeah, he was in Europe's going to collapse. He was in the Russian collapse in 1992 or whatever it was. And they suffered, and I duly recognize that. They were actually raped. There's no other word by Western economics. And by the gullibility and the naivete of their leaders. That is why it was so bad. They came from, it's like you are a government employee and suddenly you are comfortable in your position and you get everything supplied. You can never be fired even if you don't do your work and all this other stuff. And suddenly you are thrown out on the street. You have to be an entrepreneur and start your own business. Who can handle that? For 30 years, you've been a government employee, like a safe, protective, conservative, and now you have to go into the wide world, and that is what happened in Russia, except for the violations done by the West. There is no indication that Europe at this stage will do. They have an energy problem and an inflation problem. It's not the same. Oh, but everybody talks about deindustrialization, and Come on, people. No. Doesn't work like that. Even in the Great Recession, which I told you, there was 20%, another video, 20% unemployment. We are talking about the Great Depression of 1929. It lasted for 10 years, I think. Yeah. At the start of the Second World War, Britain and France were still there. No, many died. Oh, suffering. Oh, bad. It's not the same as Europe. Unless there is a financial collapse. But if there's a financial collapse in Europe or in America, which we are probably heading to, then the whole world will be affected. And you, Andrei, who's sitting in America, will also be affected. Make no mistake about it. You will re-suffer and re-experience your 1990 experience in Russia. Like we all will do. Every single person on earth. Yeah. So we have this Russian cruise missiles. You know, there's actually so there's who's actually running out of missiles. That's the article on this. In any case, so Russia is running out of missiles. How long have we been hearing that? Since I believe March? March? April? I don't know. But it's a continuous narrative on the pro-Western side. Russia is running out of missiles. Russia is running out of missiles. No, say the pro-Russian people. Russia is not running out of missiles. No. Okay. So let's look at it. Let's stand a little bit back from all this information, all these narratives. So we need Russia fire a lot of precision missiles. And the beginning is SMO. They release a lot of cruise missiles, calibers, Iskander, whatever. They use a lot of precision missiles. Even they use the hypersonic missile, just to show off force, probably. And it destroyed a large part of the military capability of Ukraine. And then there was a lull. Nothing happened. Until, there was some cruise missiles, yes, but they were scarcely used. So at the end of the day, you're not going to use $1 million worth of missile to destroy $1,000 equipment. That's not what you're going to do. Sorry. At the end of the day, you're not going to use $1 million worth of missile, cruise missile, to destroy enemy equipment that is worth $1,000. And that can have no influence on your battlefield. There must be a strategic value of the target. And it's a question of playing off how eager do you want to destroy that target? And it's a risk, cost, benefit analysis. That's what you do. If this is a 5 million or 100 million equipment dollars, and it's crucial that the enemy can shoot you down, so you're not going to send a cruise missile because that'd be shot down by air defense. You send the hypersonic one to destroy it. Hypersonic may be $5 million or $10 million. You destroy $100 million equipment. That's good. In any case. So Russia consistently, since the big missile attack at the beginning of the SMO, they did some precision missiles, but they were targeted, they were limited, they were specific, and they did certain damages. Precisely what their purpose was. So the use of precision missiles have been deteriorated, have been sort of twiddled down. And that's where the whole narrative comes from. Ooh, the Russians are running out of missiles. And then we had the sabotage. Sabotage of Kursk Breach. We had the attack on the fleet in Sevastopol. drone attack, and then there was retaliation. But what did the Russians do? They sent those mostly suicide, long-distance UAV drones to destroy the infrastructure. They did send some bigger ones as well for specific bigger targets, but it made sound use of using cheap version to destroy transformers and nodes. That is what it made sense. And when we all looked at it, then we argued, okay, fine. They're using this cheap equipment to do cheap targets, and that makes all sense. Okay. And then recently we had again a flutter of precision missiles attack. And then there was a study done by the Ukrainians or the NATO people or the British people and so on. There were actually three experts that looked at the fragments of these cruise missiles. And then they noticed that some of these cruise missiles have been manufactured in September and October. Yes. And then Andrei goes about and says, listen here, see, Russian production, military production goes on. Military economic war, Russia has a capability. Yeah, that's true. But just think a little bit further. If the Russians are shooting or using missiles that were produced in September and October, then they did run out of stock of the old missiles that were stocked in bunkers. If they are using now the latest equipment or the latest missiles, they did run out of missiles. And if you consider that after the Dinges attack, the UAV attacks, they use cheap UAV suicide drones, yes, they didn't have the precision weapons, not enough of them. That is what it actually means. The Russians did run out of missiles, precision missiles, but they were capable of manufacturing some. And then I have to tell Andrei as well, you know, I've read somewhere an article a long time ago, probably in February, March and so on, when this whole missile story came out, that the Russians have bought 1.5 years supplies worth of chips. They have enough spare parts on their shelves, so they can build on as much as they want. And just for inner sakes, the technology and the electronic used in those missiles is not the latest 7 nanometer technology chips. No. They're probably like 32 nanometers. The system, the requirements of military equipment is very, very strict. The technology that you use on that missile is probably at least 5 years old. At least. And the guidance systems. You don't put the latest chip in it. Those things have to be tested and retested and requalified and so on. You don't use the latest technology. Forget about that. Equipment has to show reliability, and that comes with time. So that electronic piece of equipment has to show reliability. That type of microchip, and it's not only CPUs that's on there. There's a lot of other chips that go around that, peripheral chips, ICs. They all have to integrate, they all have to have a higher reliability. You know, when you buy a simple resistor, if I remember correctly, this is a long time ago, you can buy a normal 5% accuracy resistor. The tolerance of a certain resistor is 5%. On military, it's 1%. Why? Reliability. You take the best of the best. And therefore you need time. But Andrei would know that because he has no technical experience or qualifications, does he? Yeah. Anyway, so we come to the last item. So he talks about the value for money in the Russian technology. And yes, I have to agree in a certain sense. Yes, I do. But there's also a lot of difference. There's a lot of things we don't know. So he talks about this frigate. I'm not going to tell you the name. Russian frigate. It's supposed to be the most powerful frigate because it carries some Zircon missiles. So what is the Zircon's dangerous, not the frigate. Anyway, the Russians apparently built it for $250 million. That's the cost of that thing. All right, okay. But then he compares it against the Western NATO type of frigate of the same size, more or less. And he says, all right, so $250 million, Russian one, versus a France one, which costs 670 million euros. Then an Italian one that costs 508 million euros. Then a Moroccan one for 470 million euros. And then American for 795 million US dollars. Same frigate, apparently. How does that work? Why do you have such a huge variation in prices? From 470 million euros for a Moroccan one, up to 800 million dollars for the USA one. Same frigate. Well, the answer is simply question. The question to that, or the answer to that question is fairly simple. It's not the same boat. It looks like the same boat. It's the shell that looks like everything, but the weapon system that goes in there. There might be different engines in there. There might be different radar systems on there. There's a lot of things that have to be integrated in that boat, even if you want to put your own weapon systems on there. And that is where the cost goes inside there. That's why you get 470 and 800 million difference. And that is why also you might have the Russians. But I do acknowledge, the Russians have a cheaper military expenditure. Why? Because they're not profit-driven. They are not commercial entities. In America and the world, we have private enterprises that manufacture weapons and sell it. Where the Russian ones are private companies, but they are owned by the government, and they produce, call it an NGO type of situation. Make non-profit organization. No, call it like that. So how much more should I talk about Andrei and prove him wrong? How many more should I talk about that? But like I said, this is only part of a video of 3. So I'll wait for my other videos, and then you can judge it by yourself. Why I'm doing this. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, spread the word, grow the channel. Let's do some live debates. And until next time, cheers.